This is Whipping It Out with Anthony Cumia on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Now, here's Anthony Cumia.
How you doing? It's Anthony Cumia. This, of course, is the weekly Whip It Out. Whipping out free speech, talking about the things going on in our country, in the world, and, of course, the big story, can't get away from it. This animal that murdered this beautiful Ukrainian refugee came here to the United States from a war zone and was murdered on a train by somebody who'd been arrested 14 times and was let out every time. This guy was known to be a violent offender. And, we've talked about the ins and outs of it, the societal problems going on. But I want to address something that is popping up now, the mental health aspect of this. Thank God The View has come back and given us the wisdom of Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar just in time. They get back from vacation just in time to just give us their knowledge, wisdom. I don't know how that show continues. I do not know. I don't know. Look, I would gather I'm out of the demo for The View, but I've never heard a person that actually watches it. I've never heard from a person that goes, I watch The View. We all watch clips because it's idiotic. I hate watch clips of The View. So in this situation, both Whoopi and Joy Behar are talking about their assumption, which they present as fact, that this perpetrator, the murderer of this girl, was mentally ill. All right, he's mentally ill. He had schizophrenia. That's what they're saying. Schizophrenia. And, all fine and well. Perhaps he does. What does that change? What is that? Why aren't people with violent mental illnesses locked up? So you're telling me that a guy that commits 14 prior crimes, just because he's got a mental illness, we should just let him out? That's their excuse as to why this guy was on a train behind a girl and decided to murder her? Because he's mentally ill, well, then we can't lock him up. Well, why? Why? Because the Democrats and liberals and morons have made that the policy in this country. Oh, he's not a criminal. What did this idiot, Van Jones on CNN, had the gall to say, oh, he was hurting. Oh, poor guy. He was hurting. We're supposed to gather up any sympathy for this guy and his mental illness as he butchered a completely innocent, beautiful girl on a train. He wasn't even supposed to be on the train. He didn't pay to get on it. And he wasn't supposed to be out because he had committed 14 priors. He had a piece of shit judge that, by the way, isn't even a judge. Some magistrate, didn't have a law degree, let this guy out in January with a note. He signed a little note that said he'll be back eventually to answer to whatever charges he had chalked up on himself this month. And she signed off on that, knowing this guy's record, perhaps knowing he had mental illness. And there are stories that this judge was the CEO of a company that was sent people with mental illness from the justice system, from the court system, into her little place where she got money, I'm sure, from the state to help these poor mentally ill people. And then he goes out. It's an unbelievable conflict of interest. Then he goes out and murders. And people like Whoopi and Joy Behar and Van Jones and a multitude of other liberal douchebags are making excuses. Mental illness, schizophrenia. All right, if that's what you want to do and that's where you want to go, reopen mental institutions and lock these people up. Lock them away.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Lifelong Democrat Diana Florence served for 25 years as a Manhattan prosecutor under DA Robert Morgenthau. She put criminals away, stood up for victims, and protected our streets. Now, Diana is challenging failed Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg as an independent because it's time for a DA who fights for our families, not criminals. That's why Diana has won the support of organized labor, like the steam fitters, plumbers, and ironworkers, everyday New Yorkers who want a DA they can trust. Manhattan needs a DA who will do the job, prosecute crime. That's Diana Florence. Under Alvin Bragg, crime is up and prosecutions are down. Bragg doesn't prosecute crime. He plays partisan politics. Bragg failed to protect women and failed to protect workers. As a prosecutor, Diana Florence won groundbreaking convictions, fighting against corruption, domestic violence, wage left, and deadly working conditions. She's always been a partner of unions, community groups, and to cops like us. For Manhattan District Attorney, vote for Diana Florence. Diana4DA.com. Paid for by Diana for Manhattan DA.
Whoopi was trying to say Trump is responsible for this because he cut some of these mental health programs with Doge and the big, beautiful bill. And truth be told, what was cut from these agencies was pure waste, pure corruption, liberal Democrat nonsensical programs that did nothing. I mean, we've seen an increase in mentally ill, homeless in our major cities, our Democrat-run big shithole high crime cities. We've seen it, the increase. So what was this money doing? Was it locking them up? Or was it patting them on the head and go, oh, you're a good boy, throwing pills in their face that the second they leave whatever hospital or rehab center they're at, they don't take their medication and they end up killing people. They're violent animals and they're being treated because they're mentally ill like they could just get a little pat on the back, get a little sympathy hug, maybe a lot of hugs, a lot of social workers and mental health clinic workers, give them a hug, and then send them out to murder the citizens. And we're supposed to somehow listen to Whoopi and Joy Behar say, well, he's mentally ill. And that's supposed to be some kind of legitimate excuse, some legitimate excuse for a murder to have taken place? No. Sorry. Lock them away. If we want money spent on the mental health care system in this country to take care of violent, schizophrenic mental patients that are on our streets, then I want that money, and I think a large portion of at least this audience would like that money to go to locking them up. You want to help them? You want doctors and whatnot? Yeah. Behind bars and concrete walls of a good old school mental institution. Scary big buildings with Gothic gargoyles on the corners. Big metal bars on the windows, and you drive past with your friends and you go, oh, you belong in there, right? Am I right? That's what we need. A return to some traditional things in this country that made society safer. They decided that the best thing to do was just let them out and shove pills down their throats so the pharmaceutical industry gets rich off of it. The doctors get rich off of it. And who pays? Well, we saw 2 weeks ago who pays with her life. We pay with tax money. And then when Trump and his administration decided that it was a big waste of money treating the mentally ill like they were, and perhaps there's a better way to do this, incarceration, they freak out and say how terrible it is. Well, I think we saw the video of how terrible it is. And then I have people saying, mentally ill my ass. The guy's brother is in prison for murder. The guy's father is in prison for violent felony crimes. So a lot of people are saying this is in this guy's family. What do you want, a DNA? Nature, nurture? He was raised by a hardened violent criminal. He became a hardened violent criminal just like his brother did. So there's an argument to be made that he isn't mentally ill. And then the other argument that he is. And as I just said, who gives a shit? If he's mentally ill, it doesn't make him less dangerous. And why should we have this sympathy for someone because they're mentally ill after they slaughtered a beautiful, productive member of society? And we see this all the time. This isn't a one-off. We see supposed mentally ill people murdering productive, wonderful people. They're actually productive members of society. They have family and friends that love them, and they're just eliminated. And people say, the second they say mental illness, we're supposed to go, oh, mental illness. Well, that's fine then. Why aren't they treated exactly like criminals that aren't mentally ill that murder people? Tell me why. Because we're supposed to have this sympathy? We're such good people that we're willing to risk our own lives. So this guy, as Van Jones says, isn't hurting. It ain't working. Whatever solution, whatever treatments they've come up with for these violent, murderous, mentally ill people, it isn't working. Cut the programs, designate that money to building, restoring these giant mental institutions, and lock them away. And personally, there might be people out there saying, well, look, Anthony, you could be a little more sympathetic to them. I'm beyond that. Personally, I don't give a shit what happens behind that giant steel door with the little barred window that a nut can drool through every so often. Once that door slams shut, I really don't give a shit what happens in there. But if you want to maybe have some charitable organization or a consortium of sympathetic doctors that want to volunteer their time and go in there and raise money like we do on TV for the little kittens and puppies with the crusty eyes and shaking. You want to raise money like that for these violent murderers? Feel free. You run with that, because I don't want my money going to it. My money ends at lock 'em up. But you feel free. Donate your money, donate your time, and let's get some doctors in there to hug these poor schizophrenic murderers. There's enough real estate all over the country to plop down these mental institutions and load them up. Load them up with people. And again, think how much safer we'd be on our public transportation systems, of course. I mean, that's where we see a lot of this going on. The buses, I just saw 3 separate videos of beatings taking place on buses. And it was racially based. There was a big black guy beating up a white guy on a train and then on a bus. And you go, all right, mental illness. I guess it's mental illness. Should we look into a tie between mental illness and certain cultures and communities in our country? Anthony. All right. Just whipping it out for you people to listen to. Not for the light of heart. I'll tell you that, people. Although I'm seeing many, many, many more people agreeing with my viewpoints these days. I went decades being chastised, crucified, scarlet letter R for racist on my shirt. Boy, a lot of people are kind of coming around. Good to see. Anthony Cumia, whipping it out.
Thanks for listening to Whipping It Out with Anthony Cumia. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?